Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions for the next round of the Washington DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. This is going to be an interesting round of the championship here, racing GT4s at Cadwell Park. Obviously, princess-approved track for Daniel Zippy Salmon, production and co-commentator here for this stream. I am Reese Gardner. I'll be leading the show tonight. And yeah, Zippy, this is going to be a fun one. I genuinely don't know what to expect out of this round. It's a narrow track, a challenging track, in cars that are probably about as fast as you can fit around here.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, I'm over the moon that we are back at Cadwell Park. I say back, it's not often we get to go here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's actually my home track. It's just an hour from where I literally grew up, but where I guess physically grew up. Depends on how you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, as I am indeed hiccuping on a stream yet again. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's been around here long enough knows that that does indeed occur. Sadly, not from anything too enjoyable there, but Cadwell Park is definitely, it's more of a motorcycle circuit in all honesty, but it has been seen by some of the people you might recognize in the YouTube world. Jimmy Broadbent actually was there not that long ago testing, I think it's called, is he called Minty the Miata? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Minty the Miata, yeah, was there for a time attack on a Monday of all days, testing his Minty the Miata. So, yeah, it is indeed a known track, but not one that we see too often. But speaking of tracks, Mr. Gardner, schedule.
Indeed. We've already been to Virginia International Raceway and Summit Point Raceway thus far this season. Here at Cadwell Park for round 3, then we go to Mid-Ohio next week, a special event for round 5. Then we hop across the pond to Japan. Suzuka plays host to round 6, followed by Manicourt and Spa-Francorchamps, down to Australia for the Bend at round 9. And then we finish off the season in the United States once more with Sonoma round 10 and Watkins Glen round 11. Good selection of tracks, incredible variety of tracks on this schedule. And Cadwell Park is, I think, one of the outliers. Summit Point may have been a very short track, but at least you could fit 3 cars side by side around most of it. You can't do that here.
Yeah, definitely. It is very challenging, and certainly I think the last couple of corners are indeed going to be a spicy one. Certainly, myself, I have managed to get airtime at this track in the sim, and certainly I'm looking forward to see the GT4s can do that. I've never had this car track combination just yet. But Reese, before we get too excited, let's take a quick look here at the championship points.
Yes, the championship points indeed. DJ Alessandrini is on par here for the lead of the championship, 50 points in it for him, ahead of Colin Denner, who's trailing 37 points, but we have very close standings from there. Jake King sits in third, only 2 points behind Denner, and Ken Housel only 3 more points behind. Andrew Lunsford 27 points, Adam Kobach 24. It's still very early stages in the championship, so these are definitely going to swap around quite a bit, but one thing's for sure, DJ Alessandrini is the man on form.
Absolutely, definitely no real surprises there. He is indeed a potent man to be reckoned with, but right now in qualifying, he's yet to post a time. Colin Denner currently leading this round. Actually, let's see if we can get an onboard lap with him perhaps to see about whereabouts he is, as he's rocking the Mustang here today, ladies and gentlemen.
Certainly is. Ken Housel has been one of the impressive Mustang drivers of the season here. But let's see as he comes around here, the mountainous section of this circuit, the number 73 of Colin Denner, sorry. I got the names briefly confused there. We shall see him round these final couple of corners and potentially take us on an onboard lap around this challenging classic British circuit. It's been around since the 1940s or so, Cadwell Park, and it's been extended a couple of times as well. The big extension has been most of the first part of the lap across the start-finish line. Colin comes and then into turn 1. It's an incredibly difficult corner to find your way through. It's blind and it's narrow, but you're almost flat out through it. You lift off and go down the gears, just dragging the brakes to try and keep the front end of the car planted. You see the circuit is a little bit wet out there. There's some wet patches, so the drivers are needing to be very careful here. Getting up to some good speed to the next corner, hard to pick your braking point, and it's also bit of a faster corner than you think. You need to keep the power in here, because otherwise you just won't get the speed up coming into the next corner and get that rotation that you need. You flow down the hill and use those flat curbs as much as you can. Super narrow down here for this braking zone, downhill, and you need to take care, because now you come up to that mountain section again. It's a flat out blast through these S's, then hard on the brakes, up through to the left and then to the right. Get ready for the jump. Whoops-a-daisy, there we go. A little bit of wheel spin for the Mustang, then carry speed through this scything S-bend to the slowest corner on the track, and one that I have never gotten right in all my time driving this place. It is so tight and it's over in a flash. Then right again through the final corner. That is a lap at Cadwell Park. What a lap it is, Zippy.
Oh, it's an absolute beauty. And I was checking an eye on the speedo there as he went through that final chicane section. 77 mile an hour. So this guy is literally doing highway speeds through a chicane, ladies and gentlemen. Fair play. For lack of better words, you are going to need a big set of cojones if you want to try and make a pass around here.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how the drivers go about it, because there's no pit stops in this race. Whatever passes you end up making, they're going to have to be on the track. Drivers will be racing for 30 minutes around Cadwell Park today. Keep our eyes on the qualifying standings, but at the same time, Zippy, while we have a moment, I think it's a good opportunity to thank the sponsors and supporters of the Washington DC Region SCCA chapter. These local vendors supporting the club in many ways. First, OG Racing, the official motorsports safety gear and equipment supplier to the Washington DC region, staffed by racers for racers. OG stocks everything from helmets, driving suits, shoes and gloves, seats, data systems, and top quality brake pads from PFC, Hawk, and Paget. OG Racing has earned a reputation for providing exceptional customer service in the industry, staffed by an expert team that ensures you have the gear you need to go fast and stay safe. Visit their 1,200 square foot warehouse in Sterling, Virginia. Since 1976, Radial Tire Company has proudly served the DC area, providing quality tires and exceptional service. Renowned as the premier specialist in hard-to-find performance tires and wheel applications, they stock tires from top manufacturers, ranging from trucks to sports cars and racing machines. Their mission is to maximize your vehicle's potential on the road and the track. For over 30 years, RP Performance has been at the heart of racing as a neighbour to Summit Point and standing out as the premier race car shop specialising in street and track Mazdas. In addition to track support and transport, RP is a full-service shop helping drivers with their racing and other track event needs. Known for their helpful attitude, RP works diligently to get cars back on track, ensuring a positive experience for all at all Summit Point events. RP has accrued many wins and championships within various classes under the RP Performance banner. Belmont Classic Cars is a family-owned dealership located in eastern Ohio, specializing in classic American muscle cars from the 1960s and 70s. They pride themselves on selling iconic rides and only offer cars they would want to add to their collection. Established in 2017, the owners, Andy and Dana Mistak, inherited their passion for cars from their fathers, avid enthusiasts of Chevy and Ford vehicles. Outside of the family business, the entire family has been involved in racing, from motocross, trophy trucks, and their new endeavor of road racing. Last but not least, Grand Touring Enterprises is an internationally recognized full-service classic automotive facility located in Frederick, Maryland, with a mission of keeping legends in motion. Their commitment to classic vehicles spans service, restoration, secure climate-controlled storage, sales, and consignment. Grand Touring also offers full collection level consultation and management services alongside concours level detailing. Their focus is on preserving the history and prestige of these vehicles and ensuring that the driving experience is equally spectacular and authentic. Huge thanks to all of the WDCR SCCA's sponsors and partners for helping to make this broadcast happen, make this show happen, and allow us to bring this great sim racing series to the world. All of these drivers are members of the Washington DC Region SCCA, and they know how to race, to say the least, Zippy. The first couple of rounds of this championship have been spectacular.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that having the slightly damp track as well is definitely going to add an extra dynamic. Certainly, I'm trying to think of the last time we saw rain here at WDCR. But speaking of things we haven't seen for a while, Jack Chrissy, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see he has indeed returned as he gets a little bit of a tank slapper there in the Mustang. Don't get me wrong, Mustangs will be Mustangs, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think that is entirely the car. I think honestly the track conditions having a bit of an impact here as they are indeed going to drive. He parks it up right now. Franz Hansen though currently out in the Porsche. Still on a flying lap.
Yes, indeed. Still looking for those final couple of improvements here in the qualifying session. Obviously, DJ Alessandrini is on pole. I think that's par for the course at this point. He's far and away the best driver over a single lap in this championship. But we'll keep our eyes peeled on this Porsche here as he makes his way up across the jump. The cars do get a little airborne there. And, Zippy, I look at many photographs of racetracks when I'm researching them. And I love seeing those freeze frames of bikes in midair at that section of the circuit. It's a brilliant venue. It provides a really good challenge as well. It's been called a bit of a mistake there. It's been called a mini Nürburgring, and for very good reason.
Yeah, that's fair. Don't get me wrong, the Nürburgring definitely a lot bigger. Cadwell Park actually only has a limited amount of pit stalls as well. Certainly, you ever see a larger grid here, it can get challenging. There is definitely an overlap, but I definitely relate to having like a little bit of airtime. Certainly our local track, Atlantic Motorsport Park, we had the pleasure of having the Super Production Challenge Day on here this summer, and a couple of those cars were indeed getting air through turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, Cooper Van Horn, one of the remaining drivers to try and make some improvement here. Over the 15-minute qualifying session, drivers have 4 laps to set their times for the grid, and this is Cooper's last. And I did see him touch the grass once or twice. Let's see if this lap ends up counting for him. Currently sits in 10th. He'd love to break into that top 10 a little bit more, but he is riding the ragged edge in that Porsche Cayman at the moment. Some say that this current version of the Cayman GT4 handles a bit like a truck, but I found it to be a very nimble and grippy machine when I've driven it, and it looks like he's making good use of it around the circuit there. That is an improvement for Cooper Van Horn, 128.5, but it does not grant him any more positions. Now we're just waiting on Jarrett Page as the final driver to set a time for the grid.
Yeah, Cooper Van Horn, literally 100th of a second in it is all he needed to try and find his way ahead of Brian Carlin. But right now, we've got one of the BMWs out, and I got to say, I've not had the pleasure of driving this one yet. Recently, yourself, I do know, tends to get out on the wheel behind a little bit more. But the BMW, always in my understanding, was quite a neutral car that came in a little bit nimble, and the Mustang a little bit of a sledgehammer, but don't get me wrong, potent on the straights. Let's see what Jarrett Page can do. He currently does not have a time posted, so we are looking for potentially an improvement here. Currently in 20th place, he moves up to P19, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Bradford currently in the McLaren. Oh my gosh, yeeted. Are we going to keep going? Come on, keep going. Atta boy. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of momentum in that. I did not realize there was an iRacing truck prop out there in the middle of the grass. So full credit to Jarrett Page for educating me about the surroundings of the virtual track model of Cadwell Park. But yeah, the BMW is a pretty good car. I've seen it read that the BMW is easy to master, but it's a bit harder to drive. It can be very quick, and it's find it. My personal choice for GT4 at the moment is the Mercedes. It's a bit of an all-rounder car, and I like all-rounders. But yeah, you're right. These cars all have those very subtle differences between new tire model for these things. Makes for some really exciting racing.
It sure does. And I do have a little bit of trolling from, not in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, but from my DMs. Timothy O'Connor calling me out for Mustangs will be Mustangs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's a younger gentleman, and he does indeed, he goes to the track. He's not bad, honestly, around it, but did have a unfortunate mishap in the Mustang. And honestly, he's a jammy son of a bitch. He managed to repair it pretty cheaply and calling me out for it. So, Tim, if the alternative is you don't want me to call out the car, I can call out the driver instead. Your choice, buddy, but I know he's watching, so that roast is 100% fair game, as indeed this qualifying session is about to come to a formal close.
It is indeed. Clock hits 0, and we wait for the transition over to the race. Once again, a 30-minute sprint race, no pit stops, no safety cars, nothing like that. It is flat out.
Oh, we do appear to have lost Mr. Reese Gardner again. We are going to try and resolve that, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, Australia not quite made it into 2025 for the internet connection on this occasion, but DJ Alessandrini is going to be at the front of the grid. Ken Housel, league admin, is going to be there alongside him in P2 with Colin Denner in 3rd. Jack Chrissy takes 4th with Mike Leader there in 5th. Franz Hansen is going to take 6th. That's a pretty strong qualifying result for him. With Adam Kovac, again, great to see him back. He's there in 7th with Raul Iriarty there in 8th with Brian Carwin and Cooper Van Horn closing out 9th and 10th.
Starting in 11th place, can you hear me, Zippy?
I can keep going.
Good. Charles Miller starts in 11th alongside William Brunner, and they'll be your 6th row. Timothy Homan in 13th with Chris Harp 14th. Our 8th row, Trenton McMillian and Cameron Guth with Jason Rode and Lewis Alessi on row 9. Only 20 cars for this particular round. Jarrett Page and Tom Radford are the last of our grid here.
Absolutely fantastic stuff here, ladies and gentlemen, and we are most definitely looking forward to it. As I did have a plan here for Reese. There we go. Hang on a second here. Let's go south, see what happens. Bump. Reese, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let's see what happens now, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed this grid is getting ready to depart. I gotta say, I got a feeling that Alessandrini, if he gets left to his own devices, he's going to do well here. But passing is a challenge. The wet track as well, I think, is going to make it a little bit more difficult as well. But I think we're going to be in for a good evening of racing here, Reece. Certainly, these drivers very respectful, very friendly, and it looks like all of them are looking to try and get a bit of heat into the tyres. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, I do not believe there is a wet and dry compound for these GT4 cars, so I think it's going to be an absolute belter of a race. Certainly, whenever tyre strategy comes involved, it can add a huge dynamic to the race.
There are wet and dry tyres for the GT4s, but I get the feeling, looking at the track, considering there's only a few patches of water here and there, they'll be going for those dry weather tyres 100%. They just need to be extra careful where they put the cars. You know, particularly along there, you see along driver's left side of the circuit at a huge puddle on the right-hand side there on the run out of turn 2. This is going to be quite the interesting race. And I have to say, I wonder how many of them are going to be hitting those puddles on the first couple of laps.
Yeah, certainly all of a sudden you now have to go offline. It could be very, very compromising. But honestly, I'm just over the moon that we came here at Cadwell Park. It's definitely not one of the princess-approved tracks for the majority of drivers. Yeah, Reece, why are you yelling at me, bud? But production chat, ladies and gentlemen, he left his caps lock on, and we're going to roast him, because why not? This is Pit Road Productions. We have fun here in the booth, and indeed on the track, if we are allowed on it, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, it has happened in some series before. We've sent in one of our own behind enemy lines, ladies and gentlemen, and fair play, we've had a lot of fun doing it. But I do think it's going to be an absolute belter of a race, and I honestly think that the track's going to dry out a little bit here. Tell you what, let's take a quick peek here at the weather, Reece, while they're finishing this this qualifying lap.
Yeah, the weather's all right. Sorry, my caps lock was on in real life as well.
You troll. Keep going.
The track is at 21 degrees Celsius, and wetness value is mostly dry, so that works out okay for us. Air temperature only 19 degrees Celsius. It is a typical cool British day here in sort of late spring, early summer of this year at about 6 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So the track is going to get a little bit darker as the race goes on. So we shall see exactly how we go about this here, as they have to go single file on the formation lap through this super tight right-hander. And we get ready now for the green flag. DJ Alessandrini gets ready to lead us away here for round 3 of the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Green flag flies. We had a car spinning at the back. It looks like Brian Carwin, unfortunately, spinning there. And it looks like DJ Alessandrini hasn't gotten the start he wanted. Ken Housel moves into the lead of the race, coming into turn 1. And now the challenge is on. Similar thing happened to Alessandrini last round at Summit Point. A clean start otherwise. And it looks like everyone's fallen into single file pretty much instantly.
I can't say that I blame him for that. Battles happening throughout the field, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed Brian Carwin showing it as down 10 positions, but he is still very much with the pack. We will take a quick look at that a little bit later on right now, but gotta say, fair play. Alessandrini not quite as quick up the mark. I do have to wonder, is that a Porsche thing? Is that a Mustang thing? Certainly the Mustang known to have that extra aggressive power, ladies and gentlemen, but can he capitalize on that with this twisty circuit we have here in Lincolnshire? As the round goes, Franz Hansen, ladies and gentlemen, that's a spin. A little bit of wet track action, and it's fair to say he's going to have to be rejoining at the back of the pack.
Yeah, it's not ideal for Franz. Qualifying incredibly well. This is what happened to him. He caught the puddle on the inside of the corner there. The track dips away a little bit after the curb, and it looks like some water had gathered. So cold tires, lap 1, combine that with the slightly wet.
Well, as we can see here... Oh, sorry, Reese, I lost you again, buddy. We're going to have to try something else there. But as you can see here, Colin Denner is certainly applying the pressure there to Jack Chrissy there, as they are indeed going side by side, making their way down the start-finish straight towards turn 1. It's going to be Denner on the outside. And yeah, it's fair to say he's managed to get it done. Mike, not the Dennis leader, right behind in the BMW, looking to get in on the action.
Yeah, Mike Leader is looking good at the moment and finding his way through to potential P4 here. Housel and Alessandrini are breaking away from the rest of the field, but the BMW goes for it here. Round the outside, it's defensive from Jack Chrissy, and he makes the defense nicely. This has brought Raul Iriarte, Cooper Van Horn, and Adam Kovac right into the fight. It's now pretty much a 5- or 6-way battle for the last spot on the podium.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Reese, I've just tried putting it into Rotterdam this time. We'll try that, ladies and gentlemen. See if we get the Dutch to give us a hand on the connection. I figured it's somewhere between Canada and Australia, but don't get me wrong, I failed geography, ladies and gentlemen, with complete fantastic honors. But right now, Ken Housel still very much in the lead. Are we going to see a little bit of air from the Mustang? Not quite sure he hit air, but certainly the front end of that car was indeed, it was flying, Reese. It was definitely a little bit on the lighter side. Don't get me wrong, I'm not sure it's a proactive way of saving the tyres right now, but Alessandrini very much applying the pressure. 1.3 seconds back. I know it doesn't look like that much as well. Is the number 73 driver of Colin Denner.
Yeah, indeed. Denner is starting to make something of a breakaway himself. So let's see what he can do as Denner finds his way into turn 1. Still no move for P4 for Mike Leader as he chases Jack Chrissy through this winding, difficult section of the circuit here. Some incredibly fast turns, but you really see how narrow the track is through here. The Porsche Cayman is a pretty small car compared to the others. It has a pretty small footprint, but even that car dominates this circuit.
Yeah, certainly the Cayman GT4 just in general is considered one of the great lapping and indeed track cars that you can indeed get. Certainly around at Atlantic Motorsport Park, it is considered probably one of the best things you can buy out of the box, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go lapping here. But right now, battles happening throughout. Mike Leader applying a bit of pressure again to Jack Chrissy. Colin Denner starting to be able to edge away very slightly, but still very much a potential threat from behind of the number 6.
Well, this track is notoriously hard to pass on in four-wheeled machinery, so there's every possibility this race could be one of the most intense parades you've ever seen. But if a move is made, it will be spectacular and it will be brave. Speaking of moves, there's a spin from Ken Housel at the front of the field, and DJ Alessandrini moves back to P1. A very poorly timed mistake there from the number 23. And he will recover, but, oh, careful. Oh, there was a car coming up on him there. Sort of like midfield area around P12-ish, and the drivers are all looking to avoid him here. It's a very narrow spot to go for a spin, especially in a big car like the Mustang, and spinning in sympathy there was Lewis Alessi.
Well, let's take a look here from Ken's point of view, see if he did indeed get a nudge. No nudge, catches the curve, gets a little bit of a lick there, and fair play, DJ went around it. Definitely unfortunate. Let's see what happened with Louis Alessi there, because it looks like he had a little bit of an incident there as well.
Yeah, he was making an alteration to his line as Housel got going again, but Alessi made that error all by himself, unfortunately. The rear end of the Cayman just broke free into the final corner, and he lost his rear wing as a result. He's still out there lapping, but yeah, he might have to come in for repairs if he can't handle the now less downforcey rear end of that one. Charles Miller, meanwhile, having his own set of problems, and it's pretty much the same thing that happened to Alessi there.
Oh.
It seems the Porsche Cayman doesn't quite like the entry to the final turn.
It's almost like you could do a little bit more downforce there, Reese. Oh, that was close.
God! Franz Hansen with a lucky mistake, lucky escape there, sorry. It's a difficult section of the circuit, really, to try and recover from a spin because the walls are so close and the corners are completely blind. It's like Bathurst. You make a mistake up the top of the mountain at Bathurst and, you know, it's 50-50 whether or not you're going to get hit trying to recover, and I think it's the same here at Cadwell.
I'll say what the crowd was thinking and that we didn't quite say. I think Franz Hansen is indeed going to need to change his shreddies after that move, but fair play to him. He's he's an experienced driver. I'm sure he will indeed recover. But right now, Mike Leader still applying a good amount of pressure there. As looks like DJ Alessandrini may have a new challenger. Colin Denner has managed to get within about 0.8 of a second. Jack Chrissie's coming up the rear as well. He's about a second back, but right now Mike Leader applying the most amount of pressure. As I say that, Ken Hounsel looking to make a recovery here on Timothy Homan.
Oh, he's just riding the edge of the puddles there. Timothy Homan lets Ken Housel go and back into P11 now for the recovering number 23 Mustang. And, well, here's hoping that he'll be able to at least break into the top 10 by the end of today's racing. Alessandrini, I expected to break away once Housel was out of the picture, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, certainly not. I've got to say, Colin Denner has been doing nothing but getting faster and faster, and I'm damn proud of the guy, both himself and his comrade who do the go-karting as well. I'm felt sure you guys still need to send me actual size of how big a sticker you want, and then I need to actually pull my finger out and get the stickers made and sent over to Ken, and then you guys can all go grab some Pit Road Production stickers. We'd love to have you guys representing us, and you know what? If you guys ask for merch, generally we'll do what we can to help you as well. Definitely one of those things where, you know, good publicity is good publicity, right? As I sound like the most cheesy marketing person ever, but right now, looks like Colin Denner has indeed managed to back off very slightly. It looks like a bigger gap than it is, but realistically, that's 0.8 of a second. But let's have a look a little bit further back right now, as indeed the Mustang is applying pressure to the 462 of Chris Harp.
A little bit wide there for Trenton McMillan as Ken Housel is starting to catch up to the back of these guys. Chris Harp and Trenton McMillan both up 5 places. They are the hard chargers of the field thus far. And looking good, looking consistent for the moment. Let's see what happens when Housel enters the picture here. The last lap for Chris Harp in the Porsche was a 130.0, a 129.9 for Trenton McMillan. Ken Housel, a 128.5. He is 1.5 seconds faster than these two, and it shows.
Yeah, he's definitely a potent individual indeed, but fair play. Cadwell Park, it's not really one for forgiveness, and whenever I've raced it, I remember I did actually do it in the pouring rain. Like, oh dear, that was close. According to that camera, he did indeed. I hope he had consent, we'll put it like that. But whenever I've raced Cadwell Park, it's tended to be in the pouring rain, and indeed it is a race of attrition. Don't get me wrong, these guys will have an incident limit, I believe, as well. I have a feeling it's around the 17x mark. Reese, maybe you can confirm on that. But right now, honestly, Chris Harp's going to be hoping that Ken Housel gets held up even more by the Mustang, as indeed I can see a move being a potential here on turn 1. But can Trenton McMillan position that car just right to really hold back Housel?
This is the question. You're right, Cadwell Park is a very easy circuit to pick up incidents. There's just grass lining the track everywhere. Doesn't have any tarmac runoffs to speak of. And there is an incident limit. It is 14 incidents. And then every 5 incidents thereafter, you exceed, you'll get a drive-through penalty. Here comes Housel up the inside of McMillian. Oh, not quite. He thought about it, had a bit of half an attempt at it, but evidently there's not enough grip offline to really make the move. This is the other side of the coin when it comes to racing on a drying track. There's certain places you just can't go. These cars do have traction control and anti-lock braking systems, but they can only do so much when there's puddles everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, Reese. And certainly sometimes traction control kicking in can indeed actually spin the car. It's a vicious circle. So myself, I'm thinking in particular the 911 GT3. I often find if that thing, well, I didn't see that coming.
No. Righto. Ken Housel finds his way past Trenton McMillian out of nowhere. And now his next target will indeed be Chris Harp. Gets on the power. The tires should well and truly be up to temperature and pressure now with over 10 minutes of the race completed. Now the issue for Housel is, where does he get past Harp? Is he going to try and go for it at turn 1? Surely not. Well, it looks like Chris Harp is going to let him go.
Yeah, I got a feeling that may have been a little bit of a courtesy there. Let's check back here and check with Trenton McMillan.
Indeed. So McMillian out of the jump here. Oh, yeah, it actually looks like there was a checkup from Harp. That slowed up McMillian, and Housel saw the gap open and decided, all right, I'm taking it.
I mean, fair play to him. Definitely not the location I ever expected to see him move. But let's check in with the battle for P3 once again. It's Jack Chrissy versus Mike Leader. And right now, I got to say, Mike Leader has been doing nothing but apply constant pressure to whoever gets in front of him. Fair play to the guy. But I do have to wonder, is that going to be a winning technique here? Certainly, it is it's a fantastic technique. If you can't pass, just fill the mirrors, ladies and gentlemen. You can indeed win a race in more than one way. It's not just passing, it's getting into the mind of your opponent.
That's it, and I had personal experience with a little bit of this yesterday. In fact, I was driving in a GT4 league, and I was following the car in front of me all the way around, putting pressure on him, and I was feeling pretty good. Then he started making gaps, and I tried to catch up again. But my reference points had to change because I didn't have a car in front of me braking. That's a similar situation to what these drivers are going to be facing. They're going to have to try and focus more on their track reference points rather than just following in the wheel tracks of the car ahead of them. I think that's the big challenge for Mike Leader here. How can he gain time on Jack Chrissy while still making sure he'll be able to maintain that pace once he makes the move, if he indeed even makes the move? Chrissy could make a mistake by himself here and let Leader through. But again, there's another side to that coin. I think this coin has about 6 sides, honestly. It's such a narrow circuit, especially in this section. Any spin in front would be a disaster.
It absolutely would. You see that huge amount of lift on the front nose there of the number 6 car, but this battle does continue. We're going to head back all the way, though, to P10, ladies and gentlemen, because it looks like we've got a 4-car battle happening between Franz Hansen, Timothy Harmon, Trenton McMillan, and indeed Chris Harp leading the front of that pack.
Yes, indeed. Hansen on the recovery after his early troubles. So we shall see if there's any kind of move he can make here on board with Homan at the moment as he chases Trenton McMillan. But you could really see as they went over the rise there how close the Mustang was to breaking traction. It's a powerful car. It's got a big American V8 under the hood. The Porsche Cayman, on the other hand, which he is surrounded by, has a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engine, and I believe it's a turbo as well. So smaller engine, similar power output. It's behind the driver, whereas it's in front of the driver in the Mustang. Results in a bit of a different driving experience, and they make their speed in different parts of the circuit. As you can see, McMillan in the faster parts of the circuit pulls away, but once they get to the twisties, the Caymans will be all over him again.
Absolutely, and certainly I think myself here, As much as the Mustang's a little bit of a handful, I honestly think I would probably choose that in this scenario. I'd want something that is as stable as potentially possible. Don't get me wrong, have we got any Aston Martins here today? I think they may be a little bit underrepresented, and indeed the McLarens as well. Tom Bradford was running the only McLaren, and I don't think he actually turned a lap yet. I think he may have indeed disconnected before the race starts, so you've got to wonder there. But still, Jack Chrissy getting into the battles here. But right now, Timothy Homan very much under attack from the number 44 right behind him.
I just flicked through the field. It's all Ford Mustangs and Porsche Caymans, apart from Mike Leader in the BMW. He's the big outlier. Homan under pressure now from Franz Hansen. And we'll see the front end get light there for Hansen over the crest, but it seems like Homan is finding enough pace in this area of the circuit to keep Franz Hansen at bay. Be interesting to see where the move is made, if at all, as into the grass goes Chris Harp there. That's given up some time to Timothy Homan. Now Harp's tyres will be a little bit dirty, just in time for the highest load corners on this track.
Yeah, indeed. Definitely making a mistake here is going to send nothing but confidence to the guy right behind you. As you see, this battle may indeed emerge even more into a four-way fight. I'd love to see 2x2 to see how many corners they can indeed go around. As that is indeed not exactly how I had that in mind. The Mustang takes to the grass, ladies and gentlemen. I guess it's fair to say it just wanted to do a little bit of grazing.
And Franz Hansen taking advantage of that, moves past Timothy Homan, and we'll get back onto the dry line just in time for the braking zone. So, a few changes of position there. Oh, yeah, I just noticed that.
Sorry.
something ka-chow.
Yeah, Cars, man. You've seen the movie Cars.
Of course, I saw it in theaters. It was fantastic. I went to...
Go ahead.
Larry the Cable Guy?
Yes.
Yes.
A comedian that actually made money, ladies and gentlemen, and made it to the big screen, I gotta say. Coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, Zippy on the mic will be happening. It is indeed going to be stand-up comedy. Looking to try and do a 1-hour show. Ticket's going to be somewhere between the $5 and $10 US mark, and it's probably going to be a show on Discord, live streamed, invite only, pay your ticket kind of deal. It's in the works, ladies and gentlemen. If you want it to happen sooner, by all means, give me a very firm kick in the nads, and I may indeed get around to getting that done. But definitely, Reese Gardner doesn't know it yet, but he will indeed be present, ladies and gentlemen. He could be the MC for the evening.
Oof. All right, fantastic.
Surprise!
Cool. Can't wait. All right, so I will wait for my check in the mail. Thank you very much. Well, in any case, we'll keep our eyes peeled on this battle here, Zippy. I am looking forward to that. Honestly, it'll be a very interesting experience. Colin Denner, meanwhile, has caught up to Jack Chrissy, and by the same token, Mike Leader has caught up to the both of them again. I've been watching Leader over the last couple of laps on my end, and he's made a couple of mistakes in some places, which have made him fall back, but now these two Mustangs are starting to fall back into his clutches. This is going to be an interesting battle for sure. This is where he makes up a lot of his time there. He's very aggressive over that curb, but sometimes he runs wide on the exit of the corner, and that loses the time that he has gained. The Mustangs are nailing the power down the start-finish straight. Yeah,
definitely able to get the power down where they need to, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly... I got to think of Austin Dilch. It's a Mustang, and I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, Austin Dilch, you're there on my mind, buddy, and certainly it'd be good to see you here. But this is for the WDCA, oh my gosh, WDCR, I sound like Reese now, SCCA Virtual Racing League, and certainly it has indeed delivered an absolute fantastic series of racing so far. Dylan Newhart actually missing as well, but right now we're going to keep that on the back burner as Jack Chrissy looking to make a move on the outside. That is baller, and he has got it done. What a move by Jack Chrissy. Oh.
Woo! Oh dear, hello. That's Colin Denner going off there in response. He was a little bit compromised. I think he got on the power a bit too soon as Chrissy moved ahead of him. And that's Mike Leader onto the podium places. What a fight, and what a move from Jack Chrissy.
Yeah, that was so good. We are indeed going to have to see that again here.
That is amazing stuff. And this is the big strength of racing on a drying track. Colin Denner was on the slightly wetter side of the circuit. He had less grip. He had to brake earlier. And Jack Chrissy made the move right there. And you see that attempted response there from Denner to get on the power sooner. But all he found was the grass and a pretty bumpy access road.
Yeah, take a look at it from a helicopter view here. I did actually notice there's a little bit of damage on the front left corner there of Denner's car. I only saw it, if you look here, right there.
Yeah.
A little bit of damage and just ends up kicking up a little bit of off track, gets a little bit of airtime, but fair play to him. Cadwell Park taking potentially another victim early on.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder where Denner ended up picking up that damage. That is the big question. Well then, we will attempt here to work out the battle between Jack Chrissy and Mike Leader up the inside for the dentist in the BMW, but it doesn't quite work. Seems like Jack Chrissy now has experience running the outside line there at that particular corner, and he used it to great effect.
Yeah, fair play to him. The outside line generally not one that is preferred. If anything, I'd sooner, take the short line, but you can see there, Mike Leader just very gently feathering the throttle. You can hear it coming in, cutting it back, and just trying to get the power down, ladies and gentlemen. The traction control, I believe, is indeed it's very much functional today.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. And you've got to be so careful on the power at Cadwell Park. There's plenty of good traction zones, but they're followed up by harsh curbs or even jumps in many places. Look at how close he gets there in the penultimate corner, but it doesn't work out for him, and this is where the Mustang starts to make up more ground. However, there is a slight sway in Jack Chrissy's Mustang, and that brings Leader back into contention down the start-finish straight into the beautiful flowing turn one, as well, we will see at least Lewis Alessi and Jarrett Page make their way back out onto the circuit after repairs done for their problems, but unfortunately we have lost Brian Carwin pretty early from this. That is your retirement report, as we see here who ultimately will finish in second in this race. We are under 10 minutes to go now. This race has absolutely flown by. We haven't seen many side-by-side passes or big moves or anything like that, but it's been a pretty exciting race all the way through.
Absolutely. Now, Kyle, Ziada, there we go. We put it on the interval for you for a little bit there as requested, sir. But right now you can see exactly where the battles are indeed going on. Jack Chrissy, great to see him return here to the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League as he gets a little bit of a slide there. Yet again, the Mustang having a hard time putting the power down. And is this going to be the opportunity for the number 53 car? Mike Leader, not the dentist, in that Listerine liveried BMW. You're going to see him there in the braking zone. This is where, as Reese was saying, he seems to be gaining the most ground. But the Mustang, the mighty Mustang, is he going to be able to hold on as we're about 8 minutes left to go of this fine, beautiful race at the best track in Lincolnshire, the only track in Lincolnshire of Cadwell Park.
Of course. Oh man, it's a beautiful place as well. I looked up the history of this place, and it's no, honestly, I love the location of Cadwell Park, and it's one of the places I want to visit if I ever get to the UK. It's a lovely little place, and a good spot to watch some racing as well. Looks like Colin Denner is out of the picture here. He actually pulled into the pits, it seems, and is now back out onto the circuit again. Not entirely sure how that came about. I think we missed that, but at the very least, he's gotten some of the damage repaired, potentially. Comes on into the lane, and we also saw Jason Rode coming in ahead of him. Was this just a drive-through for Denner? Did he exceed the incident limit? I think he might have.
Yeah, definitely. It's not hard to achieve at Cadwell Park. You start getting a few off tracks, start getting a few incidents, and you can see it looks like there's still a little bit of damage on the front right of, the front left of that Mustang there. Trying to get a good look at it. Reese Bingo, wicked airtime. That's got to be the best one of the day so far.
Oh, that wouldn't have been as fun for Colin Denner as it was for us. He is pushing hard to try and make up some time here and maybe get back into the top 5. Well, 5 laps to go for our leaders here, and Jack Chrissy has managed to gain some time on Mike Leader, but get this, Zippy, they set the exact same lap time on the last lap, down to the 1,000th of a second. Shows you how close the competition is between them.
Absolutely beautiful there, and I got to admit, it is indeed fantastic to see how well balanced the GT4 field is. Don't get me wrong, some tracks definitely favour some cars more than others, but overall, I'd say it's been pretty well balanced. But I've got to admit, and Zero Life there, yeah, I do agree with you. GT4s, flying GT4s, that are always entertaining. I've got to agree with that 100%. The wing having a different purpose, but let's go back here quickly, as it looks like Ken Housel is going at it with Adam Kobach.
Housel has been recovering this whole time, and it looks like he made the move on Kobach some time ago, but Kobach is fighting back against him. Evidently, looking at the timing, the move was made on the previous lap, and yeah, it looks like just a bit of a yield there from Adam Kobach. Housel has been charging back forward this whole time, and if you see one of those drivers who you clearly know is out of position coming up on you, sometimes the best thing to do is just let them go, and hopefully you can follow in their wheel tracks. That's a problem for the number 4 of Timothy Homan, who himself is having a bit of a rough race, and Chris Harp also coming under some issues here, and it seems to be happening a lot coming into this penultimate corner. It's such a difficult corner to actually negotiate. It is so tight. You're basically winding on all of the steering lock and then some to even get through it.
Yeah, certainly the sim actually flagging that area as a crash because they are indeed going so slow, trying to get the car slowed down, ladies and gentlemen. But it looks like Cameron Goof now, he's about a second behind Chris Harp, so we may indeed see a battle for P13 developing as this continues. But right now, biggest battle going on is indeed still between Jack Chrissy and Mike Leader, about 9/10 of a second in it. Between them and Cameron Goof and Chris Harp, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. It looks like Timothy Homan, unfortunately, is out of the race. That would have been flagged as a crash on your end, Zippy, and it definitely was a crash. He caught that puddle there, getting on the brakes, and from then on, he was a passenger. Nothing he could do to slow the car down. Boom! Into the wall, and that is the rear end of the car basically destroyed. There wasn't much that Homan could do from there. He towed back to the lane, and I think he's out of the race now. So commiserations to Timothy Homan. Better luck next time. Now we'll keep our eyes on Chris Harp and Cameron Guth, who are two of the drivers still battling here with 3.5 minutes to go. Cameron trying to get into 13th place. Chris Harp trying to protect the one position he has gained on his starting position.
Yeah, it certainly is. It is the way where you literally have 2 battles closing right at the end of this race. We've got about 3 minutes left to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be tight. DJ Alessandrini currently with a 14-second lead. Once Housel was pretty much out of the picture, he was able to run away, having an unfortunate incident earlier on in that race. He's still been able to recover quite well, though, up to P7. But right now, battles happening throughout, ladies and gentlemen, as Jack Chrissy very much under attack here. Leaders really caught up this last lap also. Yeah, he shaved 9/10 of a second off that last lap, so definitely something going on there with the number 6.
Yeah, late race pace is looking really good for Mike Leader. His previous lap was his personal best for the race, so he is on a charge here in the dying laps of round 3 of the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. See, when you take your time saying it, it rolls off the tongue very nicely. If you try to rush it, then it will absolutely bite back at you. Jack Chrissy, let's see what he can do here. Oh, goodness. Every single time they come over that hill, I wonder, are they going to spin out on the exit? I've certainly done that plenty of times. You've got to make sure that the steering is straight as soon as you start going up that hill. Otherwise, you are going to be in the wall. And it looks like, once again, Chrissy is making good use of the exit of the final corner. Is there anything that Mike Leader can do differently to try and get this done? 2 laps to go.
Well, the good thing is they are indeed both still on the podium. They've got about a 7.5 second gap to Rural Iriarty, who's currently there in P4, has gained 4 positions overall. Both Jack Chrissy and Mike Leader 2 positions up as well. I'd say Ken Housel would probably be one of them, and Brian Carwin potentially being the other, but don't quote me on that at this point, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, if Mike Leader wants to try and get this done, he's going to have to get a little bit closer. Chrissy's been great on the defense, but Leader just needs to try and put in one more move if he wants to move up one more step.
And, you know, it's harder to make passes than you'd think in a GT4, and not just at Cadwell Park, at any circuit, really. I've always found, especially on these new tyres, I have struggled to have the confidence to make a pass, because it's very easy to overcook the tyres on the way into the corner and induce understeer, maybe turn in a bit too early and start scrubbing the fronts. You got to rely on a mistake like that. Big wiggle for Jack Chrissy on the exit as they come across the mountain. Now Leader has got his windscreen wipers on. He needs a clear view of this battle ahead of them. The white flag is out for DJ Alessandrini, and big slide for Jack Chrissy. That's going to allow Mike Leader alongside as the final lap begins, and the BMW has the momentum down the start-finish straight, but he's on the outside into turn one. You can barely fit two cars side by side at this area of the circuit, but Leader holds on, and he manages to get the inside for the first right-hander, but Chrissy is holding on only just. The next apex comes and Leader is through.
That was an absolutely fantastic battle race, and honestly, this is why we love the things like the British touring cars, because this is the kind of stuff you get no matter what. Not only that, British touring car drivers, they don't really care about keeping the car in one piece. 4X, nah, that's an achievement, ladies and gentlemen. It's battle scars. It's almost like a tattoo for the vehicle. But we are indeed going to keep an eye here on DJ Alessandrini as he's getting towards the closing stages of this race. We'll keep our eyes on him and indeed on the battle currently going on between P2 and P3.
All right, well, there's the opportunity running out for Jack Chrissy. I don't think he's going to be able to find his way back past Mike Leader with the time remaining and the gap between them. So Alessandrini, he won the first 2 rounds of the season, and it looks like he's going to maintain his 100% win record here for this season as the 3rd round sees the checkered flag, and DJ Alessandrini wins. A beautiful drive indeed. He managed to keep the car together where others could not on this challenging circuit and challenging conditions. Great job from Mike Leader, grabbing 2nd place in the dying laps, and Jack Chrissy will have to settle for 3rd, but still an incredibly solid drive from all of them on our podium. Colin Denner recovers to 6th place. He would have been hoping for a little bit better out of that one, but a solid recovery from him. Almost getting Cooper Van Horn for P5, but not quite.
Yeah, actually, Colin Denner would have been the other position there that would have been starting near the top. Sorry, would not have been Brian Kerwin on that one, but you can see here a couple of drivers still bringing it over the line. Ken Hauser probably had the hardest luck of the day, I'd say, over himself or Colin Denner. Denner we did see taking to the pits. Franz Hansen, definitely not the race he was looking for today. Very potent in qualifying now, so definitely not a lost day by any means. Charles Miller able to just down 1 position from the start overall. But I gotta say, hard charger right now, if I have a look, is actually Cooper Van Horn, who was able to gain 5 positions in their Porsche Cayman.
Yeah, good job there from Mr. Van Horn right there. Other big gainers, Raul Iriarte up 4 places. Trenton McMillan up 4 as well to P11. And there were 3 positions gained for Mike Leader and Cameron Guth. Some excellent recoveries being made there. A treacherous track, treacherous conditions. And sometimes all you got to do is keep the car on the road and everything will come to you. We're just waiting on Chris Harp to get to the line. I think Harp has either had a problem or run out of fuel. No, he hasn't run out of fuel. He's accelerating. He's just got some damage there on the front left. So with that, it looks like that is the end of the race. And yeah, oh dear, that looks like something came a cropper on the final lap for Chris Harp there. And I'm guessing it must have happened at the penultimate corner, but regardless, that will be the end of things here at Cadwell Park. Look at how windy it is as well. You see those leaves twitching around. Oh, the damage was already there by the time he got to the final corner, so it must have happened earlier on in the lap.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it here. Here we go. I think I found it on lap 16 here, Reese.
Right, so...
Yeah. One more time. There we go.
Okay, so coming into the mountain section over the curb, very slippery, over the rise, also very slippery, braking for the penultimate corner, and no, that's the the low speeds flagging it as a crash zone. So I think it will remain a mystery exactly what happened to Chris Harp. Maybe he can provide some perspective to us later.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, he did the same thing as Timothy Homan. So that's unfortunate. And he carried that damage for the rest of the race there. Well, our official results then. Alessandrini wins from leader and Chrissy. Iriarte gets P4. Excellent job. Cooper Van Horn rounds out the top 5. Another great job there. Colin Denner, Ken Housel, and Adam Kobach, they had their fair share of problems. They have to settle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. William Brunner gained 3 positions. Franz Hansen rounding out your top 10. McMillian, Miller, Guth, and Harp are your last finishers on the lead lap. We saw big visits to the pits from Homan, Rode, Alessi, Page, and Carwin as well, who spun on the formation lap. A very unfortunate way to get things started there for the 27. Tom Radford did not take to the start. It was a short and sharp race, but for Mike Leader, I think it ended up feeling like hours. That was a very intense battle with Jack there.
Yeah, it was intense. It was a lot of fun though. By the time I got by him, my eyes, I was just so used to looking at the back of the car that I was worried I was going to screw it up, having to look much further forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. Good to know I'm not alone. But the BMW was very kind to you here at Cadwell Park. You guys also had to deal with a drying track, some puddles in pretty treacherous places, an already narrow circuit becoming even more so.
Yeah, it kind of helped me out a little bit with some tire deg, because my setup was, in the long term, a little rough on tires, especially the front right or front left. So I kind of use that to, dip a tire in every now and then.
Well, regardless, podium for you, 2nd place, excellent points here in the 3rd round of this season. Do you think you can keep that momentum going forward at the next rounds?
Honestly, I don't know. This track felt like an autocross to me, so that was kind of where I felt comfortable, the quick transitions and stuff like that. So we'll see.
We shall see indeed when we go to Mid-Ohio next week before the to-be-determined non-points special event of Week 5. Well, Mike, thanks very much for joining us, and we hope to be talking to you again next week. Great drive.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Mike Leader, the superstar in the BMW there, making some great moves to make his way up to 2nd. And it looks like, Zippy, that might be the only driver we get a chance to chat to here. Oh, no. Hello. Jack Chrissy has just come in. And we will bring him into the fold here. Welcome, Jack. Starting 4th, finishing 3rd. A gain of 1 position, but the numbers don't tell the full story. That was intense.
Can you stop yelling at me, Gwen? Hey, yeah, sorry guys, I can barely hear you, but no, it was a good race so far. I think it ended up being a lot better than I was expecting it to be on that track. I didn't think there would be as much room as there was in there, but yeah, no, we somehow got some good racing in there, and yeah, I'm happy to come back from my little hiatus of sim racing and perform.
Well, perform you did. That move on I believe it was Colin Denner that you pulled off round the outside. It was quite an impressive move to watch. What was your perspective of it? Because yeah, the track is quite narrow, but sometimes you find space where it's needed.
I just had a good run on him. I thought, like worst case, if I kind of end up on the bad end of that, he'll probably just cut across my nose kind of thing, or just scoot in front. And yeah, I ended up having a little bit more room there than I was expecting. I think Colin might have been hitting close to the incident limit. I thought he was going to race me a little harder than he did, but no, I thought I had enough room to kind of squeeze by there. But no, it was awesome. I was not expecting any sort of racing to that level.
Well, yeah, it was quite the good move. We're rewatching it in slow-mo on the production feed at the moment. It was quite impressive. You'll have plenty of chances to pull off more moves like that next week at Mid-Ohio. It's still a very twisty circuit, but fortunately a lot wider than Cadwell Park. Do you think you're going to go okay there?
Yeah, no, I like Mid Ohio. Mid Ohio is one of my better tracks. It's gonna be nice having a little bit more space. I think we can get a little bit better racing in, and hopefully, I need to watch the stream back, but hopefully give you guys some entertainment that's not people wrecking.
Absolutely. There was plenty of entertainment that wasn't wrecks in this race. It was a great round. And hopefully we can be chatting to you again by the end of the next one, Jack. Congratulations on the podium. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Jack Chrissy with a very impressive drive to P3. And that, I think, is going to end things off. I don't think we're going to catch DJ Alessandrini here, so it's going to be the end of things here. Your thoughts, Zippy, going into the next round? Mid-Ohio is up next week, and we always enjoy that circuit. There's going to be plenty of good passing opportunities.
What do you mean we, Reece? Certainly Mid-Ohio not on the Princess-approved track list. What do you mean me, Reece? It's it's not on the Princess-approved track list. Thanks for reminding me about the mic as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to admit it, I've been woofing some food during this broadcast. Shameful of me, but it needs most, ladies and gentlemen. If you've ever seen me in real life, you're probably going to try and feed me a bit more. There really isn't a lot to me. But I got to admit, it was great to be here at Cadwell Park. Definitely not one of the most popular tracks in the sim, but I'm just going to go back. I'd say go back to my roots, but it sounds a little bit too much of like an influencer or like a YouTuber or something like that. So I'm just going to say go back to where I came from, ladies and gentlemen. That is, I'd say sunny old Lincolnshire, but it ain't that sunny, as you can see here today. But Cadwell Park, one of the tracks that I grew up near. I only ever got the pleasure of going there once. But what I can say about the track, and I've actually got, it's not often I can say this, that, the area around it and, the culture and the stuff like that. I mean, it's where I grew up, and it has some of the best driving roads in the UK, literally right by the track. And don't get wrong, it's fucking dangerous. But I will say a shout out to a late grandfather of mine. He was in his mid to late 80s. He was an older man. Don't get me wrong, he didn't always believe in taking a taxi after the pub, we'll put it like that. But even, when he was not encouraged by certain things, the man could really drive. You wouldn't think you being an 80-year-old, 70-year-old man in the best back roads in the UK in a Volvo S70 with every bolt on he could put on it, and indeed all the dress-up bits for the engine bay. 315 horsepower, and that man could shift that car. Terrifying to get in a car with him. He was a bit do or die, but I gotta say fair play to him. And while I don't endorse such dangerous driving, you know what? If I can have that kind of fun and be that kind of happy in my 80s, you know what? I think I'm doing all right. But ladies and gentlemen, on a philosophical note, that's my review here of Cadwell Park. Reece, I think you should do the honors.
My review of Cadwell Park is it's great. And that's pretty much where it ends for me. It's a fantastic circuit. I'm really good to see it on the schedule for this league, but it's time for us to say goodbye here on Pit Road Productions. Round 3 of the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League really brought quite a bit of entertainment here, and I hope we see the circuit more in the future. But from all of us here, we say thank you very much for watching, whether you come here from Twitch or YouTube. We appreciate your viewership. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are so inclined. I'm Reece Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box, and also producing behind the scenes from all of us here at Pit Road Productions. All 2 of us, in fact. It's bye for now, but not forever.